So one thing with Hub Console, we talked about a little bit about processes, that all these things, like any process if you select or any configuration you select, all the behind the processes, those processes are listed down over here. We can directly go over here and start the process over here as well. So it will utilize
Oh,
these processes, batch jobs and all those things to run those things as well. But
okay.
normally we don't use processes. We use scheduling with CLI commands and the other related fields according to our API calls or manually. So first thing is database. So yesterday I was stating that in these five main big topics, right? If I would say the configuration section is for master database. If I'll go ahead and click on any other thing, it will state that this tool cannot be used with master database. Anything. If I'll select any database, let's say, if I'll go ahead, select the database, which is an ORS database, and if I go into configuration now, it will state that this tool can be only utilized with master database, right? So basically only that configuration. So configuration is somewhat, you can say, a little bit, you can go ahead and do configuration on this. Rest things are mostly for viewing the configuration which is set in the configuration XML file, which is configuration properties for CMS. Okay. So databases, this will show us how many databases or ORS databases we'll say are there for one particular architecture. We can have multiple ORS database in one single application. So let's say we have two different domains and the customer or the management does not want the product and the customer side to be merging or to be having a connection anyhow. They want the data to be exclusively differentiated. Then we'll go ahead and create two different ORS. One would be there for customer and the other would be for product. So accordingly, over here we have two different ORS. One is I'm using, and the second one is something which candidates are using for creating the stuff. Okay, whatever we'll be going ahead. The downwards properties are the properties like the connection string, how many rows in a API when the API get call is done, how many rows they will get from that API, that is being listed over here. So if we increase it, it will go ahead and impact our system adversely. Or we can say it's a direct proportionate or indirect proportionate to performance. That if you'll increase this, your performance will get decreased. Okay. So mostly we don't go beyond 3000 rows and 200 is by default. So over here, we'll get all these information. Second part is users. All the users which are created in master database. Users are never created in your ORS database. In ORS database, we'll be assigning these user to a specific role. Okay.
Yeah.
So over here there are target database. So right now we are seeing all the users and their default databases, what databases they are assigned to. And in target database, we can see according to the database, how many users are being assigned. Okay. And the global password policy is there so that if there is a need that the password needs to be in some kind of pattern, there should be certain number of global limitations that okay, that your password would be expired in this many days. If you have to provide a pattern, if you have to restrict the utilization. So all those kind of policies are set in the global password policy. And if any user, you have to go ahead and fulfill that. Okay, now this particular policy does not need to be enabled on any user, then this particular, let's say this particular user. So for doing any kind of configuration, we have to take the write logs. So there are two types of write logs, acquire log and acquire exclusive log. So whenever we go ahead and work on users or database side, we always select acquire exclusive log, which means no other user will be able to do any kind of updates on that particular configuration. Okay, normal, otherwise we always acquire logs. So right now you can see there is no buttons. I cannot go ahead, right click and can't do much things. If I will go ahead, manage password policies, these are coming up, right? But I cannot go ahead and add a user or do any other task for this one, right? So if I'll go ahead, acquire the log, you can see I can go ahead, create the users from over here. So all these bold are the required fields which are required over here, and we can utilize it. And this is how we can assign a default database. Okay. And the password policy, if global policy is being enabled and we want to go ahead and enable a private policy, then we'll just go over here and we'll click on this and we'll update accordingly for system users. Okay, so that is need for users. We can see right now this person, he was an administrator earlier, so he does not have a CMX ORS to be seen, right? Whereas if I go to team 2, which I have gone ahead and given the access for that one, still that is not coming up. If I go ahead and give the master database, then all the other database will be showcased.
Okay.
So that is how it is to be given. Now, if I say if that was not being given, so you have seen that workbench and this one was being just there. There was nothing which was coming in for team 1, right? So how to give the access for the tool level? So first thing is security providers. So this is just for information that what all security providers are there for authentication, authorization, and user profile providers. So what are the things which are enabled? So these are the 3 and so on. Facilities or functionalities given by MDM. Then what is enabled, we can go ahead and see those. So you can see this one is enabled.